Square Enix is laying off the Western Division. Honestly, the question at this point is not necessarily why they are doing this. It is more so how in the hell did it take you this long to not do this, right? I'm gonna keep it very much a stack. The only people that I've seen that is pretty pissed off about this sort of thing is people that are content creators and people that obviously work within Square. Now, obviously, anytime a layoff happens, you don't want that to happen. You want people to keep their jobs and stuff like that. And I'm not a big fan of people lose their jobs either. But when things don't work out and things don't basically happen in the way they should happen, and when there's a continuous loss of money, then yeah, somebody should get laid off. Somebody should get fired in some shape and form, and that's just how it is, right? It doesn't make a lot of sense to sit here while to keep people on board that just effectively losing money, or branches to keep losing you a lot of money when it comes down to it, and that's just ultimately how it is, right? That's just really how it is. And Japan has been really trying to fight back as hard as they can, especially recently. Like with MasterCard, obviously Visa coming through, they trying to make their whole ass, new sort of like banking system or InstaPay or direct pay that they trying to do over there now, so they don't have to worry about Visa and MasterCard. Then there's also like something recently, I think like a few days ago, came out about like they're gonna stop Western interferences from affecting anime and stuff like that, and try to stop all the censorship stuff. So that's a huge W. And now you got Square basically wanting to lay off and basically get rid of a lot of things from the California studio, or like house that they kind of are in, and then the London house that they kind of also built over there in the UK. So there's also that. And again, it's not really hard to see why. A lot of content creators are pissed about this for reasons I understand, because one, it is definitely like, yeah, you do get, I guess with these like Western divisions, people can kind of make different ways for people to see what the hell is going on with certain projects. Obviously, get coverage for those projects on a content creator side, so people can know what the hell is going on about a certain game and stuff like that, and to be easier for everybody that's involved and all this sort of stuff. So I get that sort of perspective, but for everything else, I don't really see a huge point as to why that shouldn't matter, right? I like a fair amount of people say like, oh, I knew somebody at Square Enix, they're some home bees, they keep you in the loop of things. I'm like, okay, cool. That's you and your boy. Most people don't care. Most people don't care if you know somebody that works at Square. At the end of the day, we just want to see better products getting made as the masses. That's literally what we want to see, right? We don't want to live through a period of just straight up more slot content that Square can obviously make. We want to see them make good things again. And boy howdy, guess where a lot of those games basically failed at when it comes down to getting people's attention? The West. Think about it. You had like Forspoken, that was obviously a Western hellhole slot fest. You had, Tomb Raider basically getting sold off to the West, so, they don't have that IP anymore, which is really crazy. Then you also have the Avengers game that lost them so much damn money that they never really honestly kind of recovered from when it come down to it. Which honestly I feel like the Avengers game was like the biggest one. Life is Strange, the last two couple of games that came through, when it comes down to it, like no one really cared to the highest extent of that sort of stuff. Like again, there's things in the Western sphere that mostly appeals to Western people that is just costing Square a lot of shit. And honestly, I'm not surprised about that. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that Square Enix is like, yeah, we're gonna just basically close off, or like basically hoe a lot of these different people in these different other places that's outside of Japan, because yeah, there's a lot of damage that's been done. And let's not act like there hasn't been any Western influences to try to change up what these games are, or try to interfere with the process of what these games are trying to be and what they want to do, and the ideas of who makes what of these games and stuff like that. And they just really try to more so cater to them, in at least to the West, in the wrong sort of way, where I feel like at this point, if you make a good game, and even if no one has heard about it or anything like that, then people will still go find it and still be like, all right, I'll go ahead and give it a try, because I feel like that's just kind of how we are at this point, right? It's not like the 90s where no one has information and can't look up what's going on, where is things kind of going and all that sort of stuff. I'm pretty certain we're going to have people to just figure out that stuff is going on and not be locked into the dark when it comes down to it anymore. I don't think we're in that day and age anymore. By going back to their Japanese roots of what they are trying to do, or at least this is what it seems like that's what they want to do, they're basically effectively saying, we want to basically have control over what we actually want to do and not have a bunch of different Western influences to kind of come through, tell us how to run our company, because ultimately it's not helping us any, right? They have 4 main pillars of games that they can obviously use: Final Fantasy series, Kingdom Hearts, Dragon Quest, and Nier. They could do something with those. They could absolutely cook with those in some shape or form. They just need it to be done in a way where Japanese people get to really have the say first, without all these other weird sort of things kind of going down. And again, to anybody that's basically on the west side of just the world and anything like that, really, again, look at Square and a lot of the stuff they have been involved in when it comes to the west, and just look how even the devs often question certain things that goes on. Like, remember the whole thing with Dragon Quest kind of came through with their anniversary or whatever it was, and the original creator kind of was like questioning who was asking for certain changes to like the gender types of different characters, like the body type 1, the body type 2, who's asking for that stuff, and Square had to take it down because obviously of very Western reasons. Then at the very same time, Nomura had a whole interview basically saying that he don't like making ugly video game characters and don't really understand why people would do that. So there's like a whole nother thing too. A lot of Japanese devs have been seeing the shit that's been going on just outside of Square too, just in general, what's going on, and they're like, yeah, this shit doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't know what the hell is going on. And basically everybody is feeling that very same way. So of course it doesn't surprise me that Japan finally has enough and just like, yeah, we're gonna just start doing our shit the way we want to do it, even if it does cost at the expense of not being able to see people play the games early, or seeing people get to have hands on the game and having their first impressions of it and all that sort of stuff. It kind of is what it is, because the Western side of the world, when it comes down to Japan and how they treat them, kind of been shooting themselves in the foot. Now, Square has also shot themselves in the foot like a couple of good times, but still, they at least now are recognizing, okay, this might be a bad idea, let's not do this. That's probably the reason why Missing Link hasn't went missing, essentially, because it was like, yeah, alright, so we want to do a Kingdom Hearts mobile game, but can we realistically let this keep going for 5 million years? No, not really. And so now we got to really think about what we want to do with that. And now, since we can't really think of any way of what we want to do with that, we're going to have to kill this game solely because it's not fitting within the standards of what we're trying to actually do here, right? We're trying to actually make cash, not necessarily try to abandon it and all that sort of stuff. Just in general, the West has been straight up ass at giving you good game products that isn't about the sensibilities and all that sort of stuff when it comes down to it, right? The only side where you might get away from that is the indies, but not many people is going to look through at the indies unless it's like promoted super heavily, right? And that's just ultimately how it is. But then when you look at like the West just in general, there's been some games, but not a lot of games that has really like done a lot of work consistently to keep people be like, yeah, the West got games like that, we out here. Not really. You know where a lot of stuff recently has been coming from that people are just yapping about in recent years, really since when it started? It's really just been the East Side. It has really just been solely those guys, right? Whether it's something like a Black Myth Wukong, whether it's something like a Stellar Blade, whether it's Genshin Impact or Wuthering Waves, whether it is basically like your Resident Evil games, your Street Fighter 6 in a way, right? You have like a lot of these other Eastern games to come through, future Eastern games that people are excited for when it comes down to, right? And it's crazy, really crazy when you really think about it, that something like GTA 6 is also going through something, pretty devastating right now. They also announced just yesterday that they're going to have to delay the game to November of next year. And people are losing faith in that game. GTA, of all the games that people should be hyped up for, should be absolutely ready to bust nuts for, they're starting to slowly not care because of the delay, because of how long the wait is, and all that sort of stuff. They also laid off pretty important people of their own damn game because they leaked information or whatever, and essentially these are pretty important people that they just laid off and stuff like that too. And it just goes again to show you, yeah, the western side of gaming is kind of in a hell spiral right now, right? But the eastern side, there's stuff that's gonna get cooked out pretty damn good, right? Like, just in the GTA genre alone of open worldness, you know what is an answer to that in the future, in the near future, honestly? Neverness to Everness. That's gonna be a thing soon. And Nanta is already getting people very hyped up and excited for that shit if it comes out next year, and most likely it's gonna be the middle of next year, at least from what the devs have said, right? Hell, all these open world games, it's even crazy that something like a new Saints Row is also somewhat kinda, at least rumor has it, to be on in the talks of things by the old creators and the old heads that used to do Saints Row 1, to kind of tell them that, hey, we kind of want to do another Saints Row, show you how it's actually done. And if that is true, I'm kind of here for it. If we got the old guys back in charge of how they want to do a Saints Row and not this new reboot bullshit, I'm kind of listening. I'm kind of here for it. I would be excited for that, honestly. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I believe in second chances, so I would very much love to see what, an old guy of the old dev horse tail thing could actually really do when it comes down to making a new Saints Row, but with their old ass sort of spin and take on it as they used to do. I would be very curious to see that, right? Crazy how I'm excited for anything that is not GTA 6. That just how it is. Again, the western side of things have been doing a lot of screw ups, a lot of crazy stuff that is not necessary and doesn't really make games fun as they should be. People were saying like, oh yeah, Assassin's Creed Shadows also gonna be very good. Ghost of Yotei gonna be very good. I'm excited to play Intergalactic. And look at all these games so far, and look how each and every single one of them has failed to a high extent to really get people behind the game itself, behind, what they want to actually do with it and all that sort of stuff. And there's very obvious reasons as to why. People that is making content or doing content creation about these sort of topics and wonders why certain things happen, they will very much hide and not talk about the actual real problem that's going on when it comes down to these western games and why these things are happening. They'll very much say, oh, it's just a bunch of idiots that don't know what they're talking about, or it's nothing like the sensibilities and stuff like that that's going on in these games, when it's also pretty much a big point or a big part as to why things are the way they are when it comes down to stuff that is going on. It is a huge part as to why things are happening the way they are happening. It may not be the fullest reason, but it is definitely a huge reason as to why stuff is happening. It is a huge reason as to why people do not want to pay for these new modern games, because they're not giving you anything that is worth a damn. It's why we see tons of people go flock over to the eastern side of the world and basically be ready to pay for any game or buy anything or play anything over there that's actually seemingly like it's worth the time versus anything in the West right now. There is reasons as to why, and there is people that just straight up choose to ignore it, or just straight up tries to hate on things just because people sounding crazy. But it's not sounding crazy, it's actually the damn truth, right? That's just how it is. So yes, I do have faith in that Square will actually, make it out of this pretty much good and actually restructured. I would like to hope that they can, and I would like to hope that things is actually going to get better, that they're going to, let go a lot of this Western stuff and not let it influence them, in whatever ways that they do. Oh, and I need to add this too, because I forgot to add this, so this is a bit of the future. But when it comes down to it too, they also talk about that they're going to use, generative AI to kind of, do stuff with their games and whatever. This isn't the same generative AI that you're probably thinking of. This is like helping out with like debugging and stuff like that. From what I can definitely tell from what people have said, like Gamers Joint and from, Cloudfish TV. they basically are just saying like this is help with like debugging and trying to figure out what problems is there in the game's code and stuff like that. So it's nothing like that. And honestly, that's kind of like a okay version of AI, if we're gonna be honest, because like, okay, so we're just trying to figure out where the bugs are, where the actual breaks in the code, and you know, try not to miss anything. So if that's what that is, which I'm pretty certain that is what they're trying to go for, then that's fine. I don't really care about that, right? I don't think anybody should be tripping that damn hard, because a lot of these articles that you will see, a lot of people on Twitter that you will see will basically say, yeah, we're using AI, you know, we're using the generative thing, right? And meaning in like maybe like an art sort of way or things like that. But that's not what this is. I just want to basically kind of, you know, showcase that. I forgot what company that they are using or wanting to use or whatever, but it's again more so on the dev sort of side of just like trying to figure out the codes and stuff like that, and not trying to like make artwork and things like that, all that sort of stuff, right? They can very much lean into that in the future, which 9 times out of 10, because they're a company, they most likely will. But that's not the same thing that we're basically usually seeing like online all the time. Just wanted to clarify that, just to keep it very much in mind, because I did not mention that at all in this video. I don't overall see this as a bad thing. I really do see this as a good thing that they kind of needed to do for like a long time now. And really, it's just going to be a wait and see again sort of approach when it comes down to Square, because they have been very much going high and then going low and having these weird ass dips for me personally. And it's just like, all right, we just need to really see where this restructure stuff is gonna really lead them to, right? What's the end result of all this stuff? Because if it still doesn't help them, then yeah, Square just might be cooked as a company. It just genuinely might be. But you know, we never really know until the time really comes to that point. So that's just kind of how it is. But yeah, that's essentially all I got to say for this one. So hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification on the way out. Also follow my socials, and if you'd like to donate to the channel, Kofi Cash Out is available as well. And until then, this is Moje, sign off. Have a blessed day.